Welcome everyone to round 9 of the tournament Bois Colombes. This is the open B section that I was in. Just so you guys, if any of you are new, didn't catch the other videos, I'm a player that has done mostly online chess. I've probably played around 15 to 20 over the board games, like classical, 1 hour, 30-minute increment. And I have played one other tournament before this, but this was a more serious tournament, and the players in my section were roughly anywhere from as low as 1,500 FIDE to just under 2,000 FIDE. So some pretty strong players. This is round 9. This is the very last round of the tournament. I almost didn't come because I was already kind of sick of losing so much. Not very happy with my performance, but I decided to come anyways. Glad that I did. So in today's video, in round 9, I was playing a guy named Paul, rated 1565. So he was actually lower. This is the only opponent that was rated lower than me in the tournament. Really nice guy. We chatted for a little bit, and then afterwards we analyzed the game, and I invited him to the chess nights on Tuesday nights in Paris. So yeah, we'll take a look at this. Just dive right into it. I'm playing with the white pieces. I play d4. So lots of London system. I didn't get any tricky gambits, anything other than different variations of the London. So see right away, we have d6. I was assuming this is going to transpose into King's Indian, which it did. So I played the beginning fairly quickly. Any of you guys have watched my videos know that I love playing against this line. With d6 and the King's Indian setup, oftentimes they go for e5, and you have the tactic where you take the queen first to displace the rook, and then you take and you get a free pawn basically, and it's better for white. That is not what happened, and once again I've mentioned this move knight b to d7. Instead of getting the bishop out somewhere first, I don't think that, let's just take a look here, bishop f5 right away I think is a mistake. If they wanted to get the bishop out, no, it looks like it's okay, but g4 is the follow-up. So you see, once again, knight b to d7. I continue with my plan, knight c3. This is all really typical. I don't have to think at all. And then a5. This is kind of where the game got, started changing a little bit. There's a lot of different moves here. a5 is one of them, but I decided to castle. I can't remember. He was explaining to me why he was thinking a5 might have been a good move. It wasn't just to grab space, but I thought it was fine. But I didn't have any particular worries. I didn't need to respond to that. And then knight b to d6, knight b6 was kind of the first move where I was like, okay, that's interesting. You don't typically see a knight on b6 with this kind of opening. It looked fine, but I decided to just continue developing. Computer did not love this move. It wants e4. So I was always keeping an eye on this e5 break. But of course, if ever black plays that, it doesn't work. e5 is probably a mistake, I'm thinking. Because takes, like I was explaining earlier, takes to displace the rook. You have to take back or you lose a queen. And then I take here. And even if you try to get fancy, let's see, you have knight takes f7. Wow. Knight takes f7 because if you take, I'm forking I'm assuming the rook and the knight here. Rook d2. Does this not work? Let's see here. You try to protect. Oh no, it's covered by this. So yeah. He didn't do that, and it makes sense. It definitely made sense looking at this in hindsight that e4 is the best move. While I can play that move and take more space, I should have. You don't always do this in the King's Indian, but yeah, it does make some sense to me. And then we get bishop f5. I pretty quickly play g4 just because I remember oftentimes with this structure, bishop f5 is met with g4. But in this case, I guess it's not actually that great because they have this intermediate move, knight e4. And I can't remember if I saw this. I think I did see this, but I wasn't too worried about it. So I kind of have to take, I didn't have to, but I decided to take. He takes back with the bishop, and and I went for knight g5. So this was kind of the beginning of a subpar chess game by me, I would say. Knight g5 just gets me into some trouble. There's my knight there. It can get into some trouble, and you guys will see later on what happens. So it looks like here just wants rook a to c1, because I don't need to do anything. This bishop is fine there, but, you know, if he takes the knight, I can take back. Rook a to c1 is what it wants here, in case he takes, so that c4 is still protected. As you guys will see, so I played knight g5. He brings the bishop back to c6, which the computer marks as an inaccuracy. I thought was actually kind of annoying. In hindsight, I'm wondering why I did not play d5 here. See, these are the kinds of moves where I'm like, I'm looking at this on the computer screen. I'm like, why the hell didn't I just play knight or d5? d5 is obviously the best move. Yeah, I was worried about any kind of discoveries. Like, I was really worried about this move e5 now because he kicks the bishop away and then the knight is hanging. Wow, okay, d5. I completely missed that. I'm not sure why. I played this move bishop f3. This is just a blunder. He can first just take it, straight up just blunders a pawn on c4. I think in this game I once again got a little bit too, not even cocky or arrogant or anything. I was just kind of like, I've already lost so much. I was kind of lazy to really sit and calculate. Because even when I do, it's like I would still play some pretty crappy moves. But this was just pretty bad. I just gave up a pawn for nothing, no compensation, and black is now winning. He played d5, and here's where I definitely started to realize I'm worse. He's got this nice knight anchored into c4, sorry. I can't kick it away. I ever kick it away. He's probably just going to go e5. Interesting. So you can counter with e5. Is knight a3 bad? Yeah, it looks like the computer doesn't love it, but either way, this is kind of a slippery little knight. I drop the bishop back to create space for my knight, because otherwise it's trapped if he plays a move like h3 or f3. Sorry, h6 or x6. h6 or f6. e5, that was clearly the best move to me. I guess bishop b5 is actually best, but this looks like a very natural move. He took with the knight, and then I drop my knight back just to get it out of trouble. Computer does not love that. Bishop d7, which is a blunder, because... Wait a second here. Knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, bishop takes e5, rook takes e5. I missed this. Queen c3? Why is this so good? I don't understand this. Queen c3? Okay. Rook e8. He's up a pawn, but apparently this is like equal now. Okay, so for some reason this is a blunder. I'm not entirely sure why, just because of that sequence. I, anyways, decided I'm down a pawn. Gonna try to avoid trades. Just put my pieces on good squares. So I went knight d4. c6. And yeah, these pawns now on the queen side are really annoying. They're really solid. I have no easy targets. I'm trying to avoid trades, but it's going to be hard to do so with the structure as it is now. This bishop is kind of weird, but at the same time, these pawns are solid. He's got a big majority on the queen side. And so I followed up with rook a to c1. He goes a4. I wasn't really worried about this a pawn. Like if ever he keeps pushing, I'll probably just go b3. I don't want to open up the rook, certainly. Rook f to d1, I just thought I'll line a rook up with the queen, and how bad can a rook be on the d file. He goes queen e7, I go back to rook e1. This is the kind of stuff that I would only, like, I feel like you only see in a OTB game. Like, this is stupid. It just looks stupid, but I'm so wrapped up in all this calculating, like, no, okay, I'm going to bring the rook back to e1. Even though it's silly, I'm just moving the same piece twice. Bishop h2. Either it wants the computer with like b3 here. Yeah, I don't get that. I'm not so sure about that. b3, if they take, a takes. I just don't get that, to be honest. Opening up the rook, now I need to be careful that the rook doesn't infiltrate in the second rank. I don't understand that. Anywho. So I go back. Queen goes to f6. I saw this move coming, and I thought that I would just be aggressive and play g5. I don't want to let the queen come in here at all, not with this knight, and not with the potential of, like, my king side is not, you know, super safe. It's not terrible, but I just thought if I play this, he's going back. He has to go back. So yes, this does kind of weaken my king side a little bit more, but it keeps black, black's pieces from invading. And then I went rook c to d1. Again, I just kind of thought, where is the c? What's happening on the c file? Nothing now. After c6, nothing's happening. I'll just line a rook up with the queen. And he moves the queen over to c8. It's very clear what he's planning here, to take on h3. I decide to go h4 instead of something like king h2, because I'm thinking of using these for an attack, for a kingside attack. At this point, I'm down a pawn. I know I'm losing. I have to try to be creative. And this is, a weaker opponent than some of the others that I was playing against. I thought maybe I could get lucky. So we see bishop g4. I had seen this move and was pretty sure that f3 would be the best move, because there's no way that I see to punish this. He continues to go with bishop h3. Of course, black would love for me to take and let their queen get in, but I'm never going to do that. I decided to go queen f2, which in hindsight just doesn't make sense, because I go here and then it's just kind of a wasted move. I'm thinking h5 is what the computer wants. King h2, queen d2. Okay, I guess I was thinking about lifting a rook and taking with the rook, but the computer doesn't seem to like that. Anyways, I went queen f2. He went back. I dropped my bishop back here, just kind of to get my bishop to a more active square. And also in the event that he goes knight c4, I thought maybe I'll just take it, snap that knight off. I'm glad that the computer agreed with this move. He goes back with the bishop, really wants to come in with his queen. I refuse. He takes, I take back with the rook. And now clearly my plan is to just try to launch some kind of attack. It's if you play correctly as black, it's never going to happen. But, and then here I see I have to defend somehow. I have to defend e3. I cannot let that drop. So I go back with the rook. He goes bishop e5. I don't need to do anything. If he wants to take my bishop, that's fine, I thought. So he does. He takes. And instead of, I'm wondering, taking here is probably a mistake. Yeah, taking there is a mistake. He brings the queen out to h3. Yes, this looks a little bit scary. I did see this move, but a queen all alone is not going to checkmate me. This knight is not jumping into the position. e3 is defended enough. And in the meantime, I just saw, okay, queen h3, but now I play h6, and I am now threatening mate. You can't push this pawn. You can't bring the rook down to defend f6. Now I actually have some counterplay. Here, where my opponent took some time to think and played the move knight c4 to knight e6. And I did not even notice it. He played the move, and I think I had gone to the bathroom, or I got up and walked around a little bit, and I didn't even notice it. And then eventually, after a few minutes, he says to me, like, oh wait, where is my knight? I think I made an illegal move. So he called the arbiter. Arbiter came over. They took off 2 minutes from his clock, and then basically said, if another illegal move happens again, you forfeit immediately. I wasn't really sure of the rules. I thought that was actually an immediate forfeit if you play an illegal move, but so anyways, and then he's obligated. He has to move the knight now. That was the other rule, is that he has to move the knight. I saw that, yeah, okay, he's probably like, he could take here, and actually that's probably what I would have done, but he went for it. He went for knight takes e3. And I just had to calculate this and make sure that I wasn't getting mated or anything, or that there wasn't a perpetual check with the queen, because at this point I knew I was winning. He has to stop mate somehow, and it looks pretty difficult to do. So he takes on e3. I took some time to think. I saw that, I can take on e3. He takes, I take. Rook can't come over to the e-file. That's the most important thing to me. If the rook were able to come over to the e-file, I'd be a little bit concerned if the rook is able to join some kind of attack with the queen. But with the queen alone, there is nothing. You cannot checkmate with just the queen unless it's a queen and some pawn. So he moves the king over. Again, I took some time to try to find the best move, which I did. Queen e5, because I'm threatening both queen h8 check, winning the rook. And what else am I threatening here? Right, if he were to go, which was probably very tempting, he's wanting to go maybe rook a8. I have first check, king goes here, check. If you go here, you lose the rook altogether, and if you go here, then you're toast. So I saw that sequence, and that queen e5 was winning. He goes queen h4. I'm not entirely sure what the idea was actually, because either way, the knight's defended. He's not really attacking the knight. He's not really threatening to take here, but what else are you going to do? I bring the rook over. I'm now threatening a checkmate. You guys should all hopefully be familiar with this. If he goes here, it's checkmate immediately. If he does nothing, let's just say, I don't know, some random move, then I have first, not here, but check, king moves over, and then check. Because the pawn is here, taking away the escape square, it's checkmate. My opponent resigned here. Let's see, after queen h4, I think my opponent resigned. So, you know, overall, I finished the tournament with 3.5 points out of 9. Obviously, there was some really unfortunate giveaways where I was completely winning and threw the game away. Some games where I just played really poorly. But at the same time, I did also manage to draw, you know, nearly a 1900, another 1800. So I did also get to, you know, hold my own against some pretty strong opponents, and I was happy about that. But basically, and I'm going to make another recap video of just the whole tournament experience, my thoughts on online chess versus over-the-board chess. A lot of people have opinions and thoughts about what rating you would be if you're like 2000 elo online, you know, what your FIDE would be. I have a lot more thoughts in regards to that. I ask a lot of people, you know, what their online rating is when I talk to them, and just based off of my own experience. So I'm going to share a lot of those thoughts and advice that I have based on my own mistakes and experience. If you're preparing for an over-the-board tournament, if you're trying to get into over-the-board chess. But yeah, overall for right now, it's experience. I'm happy that I did the tournament. It definitely wasn't easy, but it's also exciting. It's exciting to play strong players that, you know, it's different. It's not just like hopping in a quick 10-minute game where you're basically addicted. You know, a lot of people are just like, next game, next game, next game. It's not the same. You know, these players really are thinking and calculating. A lot of them have coaches, and they're like analyzing these games right afterwards. They don't just throw on the computer engine. They're going to analyze with their friends, and kind of like you see a lot of grandmasters doing. Because if you don't understand yourself the computer moves and the analysis, kind of like I did, it's not worth a whole lot. You need to be able to understand your mistakes yourself for them to really solidify. So anyhow, I will quit rambling. That is round 9. That is the last game of the tournament. And I am planning on playing as many over-the-board tournaments as possible now. Of course, it's not going to be easy when I start my job and everything. It'll have to be on weekends. I don't think I'm going to take vacations for a 4-day, 5-day chess tournament, but you never know. But I'm planning on playing as many over-the-board tournaments and games as I can, and really preparing next time. I did not prepare for this. Let me be very clear, guys. I did not prepare, and I do slightly regret that. But now at least I know what to do, what I'm going to do to prepare for the next time I do have an over-the-board tournament. Alessia Santaramo actually has a video I watched on preparing for over-the-board tournaments, and she was saying she had a tournament where she went 5 out of 5, and what she had done before that tournament was for like, I think it was like 2 weeks before, she did nothing but an hour a day of tactical puzzles on a chessboard, a book of tactical puzzles and your chessboard, and that's it. And I might not do exactly that, but I think that's a good start. So anyhow, thank you guys for watching. I will be continuing to post my videos for my progress to 2000 elo on rapidchess.com, and then posting recaps and videos of any over-the-board tournaments I do. Tune in for the streams, and I will see you guys in the next video.